Hey everyone, well, it's over. The City of Oakland's workers' strike, which has lasted roughly a week, came to an end today after a day of confidential meetings between the mayor of Oakland, mayor staff, and the city administrator, and representatives of Service Employees International Union 1021, who committed, as the mayor put it, committed to the negotiation process and came to an agreement of which hasn't been released. However, the meetings will continue through to several dates certain, and after that we'll have some idea of what the agreements were. Now, this all started over a situation that has lasted far longer than it should have, and basically the City of Oakland workers have went without a contract for quite some time, and they've given up cost of living adjustments for a number of years going back to 2011. And it reached a point where the rubber met the road regarding what union workers are going through with worsening working conditions and, most notably, rising housing costs. That's really what this is about. This is related to the dramatic rise in rents and mortgages and market values of homes and apartments throughout the city of Oakland just over the last 3.5 years. That's permeated this climate like nothing else, And so the situation now is that tomorrow, Tuesday, city offices will reopen, but there will not be any Oakland City Council business done. And on Thursday, December 14th, at Rules Committee, which meets at 11 o'clock at Oakland City Hall, Pacific Standard Time, of course, the council will begin the task of rescheduling meetings that were canceled because City of Oakland workers did not show up to work. They picketed. Among them, those meetings that will be rescheduled will be the first meeting of the City of Oakland's Police Commission. That was to meet on Tuesday for the first time. That will be, actually Tuesday for the first time, excuse me. That will be rescheduled among other events. So, let me read you the information that was posted by the City of Oakland, the form of its press release announcement. City of Oakland resumes normal operations after day of mediation. SEIU calls off strike. SEIU is Service Employees International Union. And it reads as follows: following a productive day of confidential mediation today, Service Employees International Union, SEIU, Local 1021, notified the city that it has called off its labor strike. The city and SEIU negotiators made progress on several items concerning working conditions, prompting SEIU Local 1021 to suspend the strike immediately and resume normal operations tomorrow, Tuesday, December 12, 2017. The parties were unable to reach a comprehensive settlement but have agreed to additional mediation. All city programs, services, and facilities will reopen to the public tomorrow, Tuesday, December 12th, during normal business hours, which may differ by program and service. And this is a quote by Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf, which reads as follows: it has been a tough week for Oakland. I want to thank SEIU's bargaining team for their commitment to the mediation process and for bringing workers back to work in service of our community. I want Oaklanders to know how deeply I appreciate their patience during this disruption. We are committed to bringing swift resolution to any outstanding issues and to ensuring that our community receives the services they deserve now and into the future. City Council meetings normally scheduled for today, for example, on Tuesday, were canceled and will not take place. The City Council's Rules Committee, as I said earlier, will convene on Thursday, December 14th, to begin the task of picking new dates for meetings for a number of matters, a number of issues that are outstanding. So that is the news. There's no detail here as of yet regarding where the parties are exactly. And again, as I said, this started because, very simply, City of Oakland workers were not making enough money. They weren't getting a cost of living adjustment at a time when housing costs were increasing to unprecedented levels. And a number of employees, like, for example, Frankie Izzo, who is an SEIU representative, were being harmed. In Frankie's situation, she was the target, if you will, of what we call an Ellis Island Act, and that is the landlord decided that they wanted the unit that Frankie lived in, and so they forced Frankie to move out and took the unit, and may very well have resold the unit to someone who could afford whatever market the value or very market price the landlord believed could be commanded for that space. Meanwhile, Frankie had to go out looking for a new place to live in an environment that's much more expensive, and with costs she's making, with payments she's receiving from the city that don't match what the cost of living was, or is, and on top of all that, would have matched it had she received her cost of living adjustment. So she is not alone in this situation. There was a time, not too long ago, that City of Oakland workers, I would say about 5 years ago and beyond, made more than was necessary to live comfortably in the City of Oakland. That was traditionally the way it was. But a number of things happened. First of all, the City of Oakland has a gigantic, and this occurred before the housing cost problem. The City of Oakland has a gigantic underfunded pension issue. What does that mean? It means that when you retire from the City of Oakland, you get a pension. Now, your pension is based on your average income that you gained over a period of years with the City of Oakland. But you assume the money is going to be there to pay it. What happened is that the City of Oakland's payout was to a point where it was greater than the amount of money it could afford to pay the pension. And so the city had to, in past years, fill bond issues to solve the problem, and that has served as a poor temporary stopgap. What the city has done is work to mitigate the amount of money it pays out to its employees. That's a fancy way of saying, hey, it's trying to figure out how to pay less money. One major action the city has taken on is the hiring of temporary workers, temporary part-time workers, to do the work that was normally taken on by what we call one full-time equivalent person. In other words, one person working 8 hours a day with benefits. These temporary part-time workers work without health care benefits, and it served as a sort of a crutch. In addition, the city has been, I say, plagued by an unstable management system such that we've had a new chief administrative officer on the average every 2 years since 1998. And that's because of our strong mayor system installed when Oakland voters approved something called Measure X, put in place by Jerry Brown in 1998. Brown became mayor in 1999, and it is still with us. It allows the city to have a strong mayor, as we call it, who can hire and fire not just chief administrative officer, but police chief as well, which are the two top, regarded as the top positions in the city other than the mayor that, if you will, drive the city's management. And so because of these now political appointments, whereas in the past the city manager was the person that really managed the city, including the police chief, and you needed 5 city council votes to get the city manager out of the city. Now it just takes the mayor, and on top of that, what we've had is if one chief administrative officer like Fred Blackwell then Oakland Mayor Jean Quan thinks, hey, you know what? Quan's not popular. She's not going to win re-election. I'm going to bolt to another job. That's what you do, and that's what he did with San Francisco Foundation, where he is now CEO. So that is the situation. Now you'd say, who's the winner and who's the loser, okay? And I think the winner and the loser, the winner is Oakland at-large council member Rebecca Kaplan, right? And the reason is that Rebecca, and you can see this in my other videos, went out, negotiated with SEIU, and not negotiated, excuse me, talked to the SEIU workers in front of City Hall steps. And when I say negotiated, what I was thinking about in the back of my mind is the fact that she is representing their interests, or she has led them to believe that she represents their interests, Rebecca has, and is the favorite of some to run against Mayor Schaaf in the upcoming election. Whether or not Rebecca will is an entirely other story, okay? An entirely other story. But it has been said and confirmed by, again, Frankie Izzo in my interview with her, that SEIU is looking for a candidate to run against Mayor Schaaf. Rebecca has been the most, other than Alameda County Supervisor Nate Miley, most visible local elected official. Now, what does this have to do with the sports matter that a number of you pay attention to? Well, actually quite a bit, because we're talking about our next mayor, the future mayor of Oakland. And I believe that where Mayor Schaaf left herself vulnerable is in, and I understand why Libby did this, but I would agree with it, this idea that you have to be, quote, tough, unquote. And when workers are simply picketing to make their lives better, it is not a tenable position to place yourself in as an elected official to try to burnish your political toughness, your bona fides, if you will, on the backs of people who are simply just trying to make it. And that's, from the perspective I'm talking about, what it looks like Libby was trying to do. I'm going to be tough. I'm going to hold my ground. It wasn't a good look for the mayor, and I remind anyone who would assert otherwise, including the mayor, this is the first time in Oakland's history you've had anything like this happen. Any time in its post-war history. I don't know about pre-war, but this is the first time in Oakland's post-war history we've had a workers' strike of this magnitude. So we've had, in the past, it's been like one day, right? And that was one time, twice, excuse me. That's it, all right? So, that's major. Now, to your other questions regarding the A's are actually still negotiating with Peralta Community College District. And you heard it here correctly. The A's are still negotiating with Peralta Community College District. So while there's a cosmetic that says, hey, the talks are dead. In reality, folks, the talks are not dead. I'm going to make a separate video about this to announce it. The talks are not dead. And Peralta Community College had simply said, hey, look, we just want time to think this through and determine our history. But Peralta has not stopped talking to the Oakland Athletics. And I received that information on Sunday. I repeat, Saturday night. I repeat, Peralta has not stopped talking to the Oakland Athletics, okay? So that's still there. And so the idea that the A's are going to leave Oakland, you can jettison that. The A's are not leaving Oakland. The idea that the Laney College site issue is dead, that's not true. It is not dead. It is still alive. It is still very much alive. So I just want to put that out there. Now, in terms of where the city goes from here, I assert that the city really needs to recapture lost property tax revenue by way of the use of tax increment financing. In the past, extensive use of tax increment financing via redevelopment project areas has helped us pay for city services, for labor that we would not have been able to afford without it. Now we don't have that system because even though it's been signed into law for us to use in a way, I say in a way because there are two types of legislation that can be employed, but they require they've always required full city council approval, but they're more tightly focused on the idea of enhanced infrastructure investment. But the way the bills are worded, the laws are worded, you can actually move forward and with an effective plan, a very effective plan for redevelopment, but also a system that helps the city by helping its employees do work that's associated with enhanced infrastructure development. So that's a way of helping to pay workers and help, close the worker payment gap that exists right now. Whether the city will do it is another story, and my sad answer is right now, no. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We are at a time where, not just in Oakland or California, but throughout the country, cities are plagued, for the most part, to some degree, not all, but to some degree, by elected officials that do not understand how to use the levers of government to improve the lives of citizens. But that problem is most acute in California, in Northern California, and in particular in the East Bay, where we have elected officials who seem more obsessed with making statements about Donald Trump than they are fixing the problems of the city of Oakland. All right. So that's where we are right now, and I'm going to come back in a second with a separate live stream to discuss this A's issue, but it's going to be another short one, so bear with me. Thank you, and please, if you haven't done so before, subscribe to Zenny62 and click that notification bell at the top. All right, thanks.